When love broke the wall of age, it didn't happen in a whisper. It happened on a rainy Tuesday, under a flickering street lamp, in a small American town, where people pretended to mind their business, but never really did. Some stories are born bold. Some stories choose you. And this one began the day a woman half his age saved his life. Ethan Ward, 57, calm-voiced, neatly dressed, the kind of man who carried sorrow in his eyes like an old photograph, never thought life had a second chapter for him. After losing his wife 5 years earlier, he lived quietly, moving between work, home, and the local library. People respected him, but no one truly saw him. Until her, Maya Carter, 28, brilliant, impulsive, a storm wrapped in sunshine, was everything the town talked about. She had come back after years in the city, carrying dreams too big for the quiet streets of Brooksville. Their worlds were not supposed to collide. But fate isn't polite. It doesn't knock. It breaks in. The rain that Tuesday was angry, loud, and heavy. Ethan was crossing the old bridge when his foot slipped on the wooden plank. He might have gone over the railing if a hand, small, fast, certain, hadn't grabbed his coat and pulled with surprising strength. "Sir, are you okay?" Maya's voice trembled with shock, but not fear. Ethan blinked, breathless. I think you just saved me." "You think?" She laughed nervously, brushing wet hair from her face. "Next time, don't walk like you own the bridge." Despite the cold, something warm bloomed between them, the kind of warmth that feels like destiny beginning its work. He thanked her. She shrugged it off. He walked away. She watched him go. But life, once it notices you, doesn't forget. The next morning, Ethan found her again, this time in the library. She was sitting on the floor in the history aisle, surrounded by books like a child lost in wonder. "You're the bridge guy," she said without looking up. "And you're the reason I'm still alive," he replied. Her laugh echoed softly. "So, I guess that makes us officially acquainted." He nodded, smiling in a way he hadn't in years. "I'm Ethan." "Maya." That was all. A name exchange. A moment shared. But something invisible shifted, quietly, dangerously, beautifully. Over the next weeks, they kept meeting by accident, though neither of them believed in accidents anymore. Coffee shop lines, park benches, library corners. The universe kept rearranging itself, so they would stand close enough to talk, close enough to feel something awakening. And it did awaken. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but in the small ways that matter. Maya loved how he spoke, slowly, thoughtfully, as if every word deserved respect. Ethan loved how she listened, like the world was a story only she could understand. She found comfort in his steadiness. He found life in her spark. But Brooksville was a small town. Small towns love big gossip. People whispered. Friends questioned. Strangers stared. Isn't he too old for her? She's young enough to be his daughter. What could they possibly have in common? Age, judgment, moral walls built by people too afraid to climb their own. Ethan heard the whispers. Maya felt the glances, and both pretended it didn't hurt. One evening, under the golden glow of the setting sun, Ethan finally spoke the fear he'd locked inside. "Maya, this shouldn't be happening." She tilted her head. "What shouldn't?" "This. Us. Whatever this is. You're young. You have dreams. I don't want your life to shrink because of me." Her eyes softened, not with pity, but with something much stronger. "Ethan, you didn't break into my life. I let you in. But..." "No." She stepped closer. "You think love measures age? Or time? Or permission from people who don't even know us?" A breeze rustled the leaves around them. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time realized he was afraid not of judgment, but of losing her. She touched his hand. A small touch, but it broke every wall he had built around his heart. "Ethan," she whispered, "let me choose you." He didn't answer. He couldn't. The weight of her words held him silent. And just when the moment felt too perfect, too fragile, someone from the town square shouted his name. They turned. A figure hurried toward them, breathless, pale and shaking, carrying news that would change everything. Ethan froze as the figure reached them, panting hard. It was Mrs. Holloway, the elderly neighbor who had lived across from him for more than a decade. Her eyes were wide, frightened in a way Ethan had never seen before. "Ethan, it's your house," she gasped. "Something's happened. You need to come quickly." He didn't ask questions. Instinct took over. His hand, trembling, found Maya's without meaning to, and she squeezed it, grounding him. They ran down the hill, across the quiet road, past the staring townspeople, until Ethan's small white house came into view. Smoke curled from the back kitchen window. Not flames, not destruction, but danger. A fire truck stood outside, lights flashing but siren silent now. Firefighters were rolling up a hose as they approached. Ethan's breath shattered. "My house, oh God!" Maya moved closer, her voice steady. "Let's talk to them. Maybe it's not as bad as it looks." A firefighter spotted them and removed his helmet. "Mr. Ward, the fire's out. Started from the old heating unit in your kitchen. You're lucky your neighbor noticed the smoke early." Mrs. Holloway nodded. "I saw it from my garden. I knew you weren't home." Ethan tried to thank them, but the words wouldn't come. His home, his memories with his late wife, everything it left of her, had been in that kitchen. He felt the ground sway beneath him. Maya slipped her arm through his. "Let's go inside. I'm with you." The firefighter gave a gentle nod. "It's safe, but there's smoke damage." Inside, the air was thick with the scent of burnt wires and scorched wood. Ethan's chest tightened as he walked through the dim kitchen. One side of the wall had blackened. Souvenirs, photographs, and little mementos lay scattered. His late wife's favorite ceramic mug had cracked on the floor. He knelt down and picked it up with trembling fingers. Maya slowly knelt beside him. "Ethan, I promised myself I'd protect everything she left behind," he whispered. "And I couldn't even do that." Maya didn't touch the mug. She didn't try to pull it from him. She simply stayed close, letting her presence hold the broken pieces he couldn't. "You protected her memory," she said softly. "You protected what she meant to you. This," she gestured around the room, "is just a space you survived without her. Now maybe it's meant for something new." He closed his eyes, breathing unevenly. "I don't know how to start new." "Yes," she whispered. "You do. You just don't realize it." He opened his eyes, meeting hers. And in that moment, despite the smoke, the ruin, the fear, he felt something shift again. Something fragile but undeniably alive. That was when the whispers from outside began. Neighbors gathered at the fence, pretending concerned but murmuring under their breath. "Look at her, she's too young. She's taking advantage of him. It's not right at his age." Imagine what people will say. Their voices seeped through the broken window like poison. Maya heard it. He saw her jaw tighten. But instead of stepping away, she stepped closer, close enough that he felt her breath against his shoulder. "They talk because they don't know you," she said. "They talk because they can't imagine loving someone beyond the numbers they worship. But, Ethan, I don't care what they think." He swallowed hard. "But they'll hurt you. They only can if I let them." Her courage should have reassured him. Instead, fear coiled deeper in his chest. "You deserve someone who gives you a full life," he said quietly. "Someone who matches your age, your energy, your future." "Stop deciding my future for me," she whispered back. He turned away, but Maya wasn't done. She gently took the cracked mug from his hands, placed it on the counter, and faced him with a strength that shook him. "You think love cares about age? You think it measures birthdays or wrinkles or years lived?" She shook her head. "Love only asks one thing: who makes your heart feel alive?" He felt those words strike deep, deeper than he wanted to admit. But before he could respond, another voice entered the doorway. It was Sheriff Collins, broad-shouldered, stern, the kind of man who believed he understood everyone's life better than they did. He stepped inside with a slow, heavy caution. "Ethan," he said, pretending concern, "heard what happened. You all right?" Ethan nodded stiffly. "I will be." The sheriff's gaze slid to Maya, lingering too long, too judgmental. "Miss Carter," he said, "always surprised to see you around." Maya lifted her chin. "Why?" "Because I don't fit the town's idea of normal." Collins smirked. just wondering why a young woman would be spending time with a man old enough to be her father. People notice things, you know? Ethan stiffened. Maya's eyes flashed with simmering fire. That's enough, Ethan said sharply. Collins shrugged. Just looking out for you. Folks are talking. They think she might be taking advantage of you. Emotionally, maybe financially. Age gaps can get complicated. Maya stepped in front of Ethan, her voice clear and unwavering. I don't need your permission to care about someone. Collins raised both hands. Relax, I'm just saying. People will judge. We know, she replied. We hear them. The sheriff looked at Ethan, lowering his voice. Think carefully about this. This town isn't kind to people who break expectations. When he left, the room felt colder. Maya turned back to Ethan. I'm not walking away because they talk. I'm only walking away if you ask me to. He looked at her, the woman who saved his life, who stood by him in a burning home, who faced the entire town without flinching. And for the first time, he felt the truth forming inside him, a truth he was terrified to say aloud. Before he could speak, Mrs. Holloway's voice echoed from the doorway. Ethan, you need to hear something. Something about the fire. It wasn't an accident. Ethan's heart stopped. Maya's breath hitched. Mrs. Holloway stepped inside, trembling. I saw someone near your kitchen window earlier, someone who shouldn't have been there. Mrs. Holloway's words seemed to vibrate in the air, hanging heavy, refusing to disappear. Ethan stared at her, unable to breathe for a moment. What do you mean? Someone was near my window. Her voice shook. I saw a figure, tall, wearing a dark jacket, with the hood up. I thought it was odd, but before I could call out, he ran. And minutes later, smoke started coming out. Maya's fingers tightened around Ethan's arm. Someone tried to start that fire on purpose. Ethan's heartbeat quickened. But why? Who would do that? Mrs. Holloway hesitated, her eyes flickering between them. I don't know, but I've heard some of the men in town talking. People don't like seeing the two of you together. They say you're embarrassing the community, breaking moral lines. Maybe someone thought they could scare you. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Scare him? By burning down his house. Small towns breed small minds, Mrs. Holloway whispered, and fear makes them cruel. Ethan turned away, pacing through the half-ruined kitchen. His life, already holding so much loss, had been pushed to the edge again. The old grief he carried for his wife, the loneliness, the weight of judgment from the town, the guilt of daring to feel something again now twisted into a new fear. He looked at Maya, who stood tall despite the smoke, despite the whispers outside, despite the storm around them. She didn't shrink. She didn't hide. She looked ready to fight whoever dare hurt him. The realization struck him with the force of a lifetime. He was more afraid of losing her than he was of facing the entire town. Maya stepped toward him slowly, cautiously, as if she were approaching a wounded animal. Ethan, don't let them scare you into silence. They didn't just scare me, he murmured. They tried to destroy everything I had left. Then fight back, Maya whispered. Not with anger, with truth, with us. Us. The word tasted unfamiliar, dangerous, beautiful. Yes, she said, voice trembling. Us. He closed his eyes, feeling the weight pressing down on him. The judgment of the town, the age gap, the expectation that he should remain alone forever. People whispered that he was too old to feel new love. They said she was too young to understand commitment. They insisted that love was only acceptable when it fit their rules. And yet, every moment he spent with her felt more honest than all the years he spent pleasing the world. Sheriff Collins' warning echoed in his mind. Think carefully about this. He had thought carefully, all his life, and careful living had left him lonely. No more. Ethan stepped toward Maya until they were inches apart, his voice soft and unshakably clear. I've lived by everyone else's rules for too long. I've spent years shrinking myself because I thought it was respectful, safe, appropriate. But loving someone, really loving someone, should never feel like a crime. Her eyes glistened. Ethan, you gave me something I didn't know I could still have. A heartbeat, a reason to wake up with hope instead of memories. And I won't lose that because people are afraid of what they don't understand. Maya's breath trembled as she touched his cheek. So you're choosing me? He took her hand, holding it gently, reverently. I'm choosing my heart. And my heart chose you long before I had the courage to admit it. Tears pooled in her eyes, but she smiled, the kind of smile that looked like sunrise after a long winter. Then let them talk. They will, he said softly, but they won't decide our future. Before she could respond, Sheriff Collins appeared again at the doorway. This time his face wasn't smug. It was tense. We found something, he said. A burned piece of cloth, looks like part of a jacket. We're investigating. But I'll be honest, this wasn't a random accident. Ethan stepped forward, no longer afraid. Sheriff, whoever did this, whatever they intended, they won't win. Collins eyed him with surprise. You sure about that? People can be ruthless when they think they're defending morality. Ethan placed a hand on Maya's back, steady and firm. Morality isn't defined by their fears. And I'm not living in fear anymore. The sheriff nodded slowly. Then I'll do my part. I'll find out who did this. He stepped outside, speaking to his team as dusk settled across the yard. Inside the kitchen, Maya turned to Ethan again. Are you scared? Yes, he admitted honestly. Terrified. Then why are you so calm? Because fear feels different when you're not facing alone. Her lips curved into a trembling smile. We're really doing this. We already started, he whispered. Maya looked around the ruined kitchen. What about your memories? Your past? Your wife? Do you feel like you're leaving her behind? Ethan shook his head gently. Loving again doesn't erase what came before. It honors it. She wanted me to live, not disappear into grief. Maya swallowed hard. I don't want to replace her. You're not, he said, lifting her chin so she met his gaze. You're helping me become someone she would have been proud of. A tear fell down her cheek, and he wiped it gently. Outside, the whispers grew louder. People watched from the road. Curious, judgmental, hungry for gossip. But for the first time, Ethan didn't hide. He took Maya's hand again and led her toward the front door. When they stepped outside, the murmurs rose. Too young, too old, inappropriate, immoral. Ethan lifted their joined hands. Not to show off, not a challenge, but to acknowledge truth. This is my life, he said, loud enough for those closest to hear. My heart, my choice. Maya stood beside him, unshaken. Those who disapproved would talk. Those who understood would stay silent. And those who respected love in all its forms would see something rare. Two people brave enough to protect a bond the world tried to shame. As the sun slowly set behind them, painting the sky gold, Ethan realized something profound. Love didn't break the wall of age. Love ignored the wall entirely. And together, they stepped into a future that wasn't perfect, wasn't easy, but finally belonged to them.